Well, hello, my name is Gavin. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to make a very good vegetarian sandwich. It's going to be very easy to make and it's going to require a little bit of technique, but we're going to get you through it and it's going to be a lot of fun. So as you see here, we have our mise en place, which means everything has its place. This is what we start from. So we don't have to be running around the kitchen trying to figure things out as we're trying to cook. So what we're going to start with is going to be our onion. We're going to show you how to julienne an onion without cutting your fingers off or destroying this really nice product. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the top side of the onion. The reason why you want to do that is while we julienne this onion, we want to keep it intact. If we cut the roots off, what's going to happen is when we go do the cut, it's going to separate and it's going to fall all over the cutting board and it's going to be a big mess. So this will save us some heartache in the end. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take the outside layer of skin off, really easy. Just pop it off. And we don't need too much, so fairly quick about it. So to do the cut, what you want to do is you want to start from the outside and then work your way inside. And when we cut, we're going to fold our knuckles in. We want to do that so we don't cut our fingers or harm ourselves in any way. So I'm going to make sure that's all cleaned up. And here we go. When you slice, you don't want to slice all the way to the back. If you slice all the way to the back, the onion's going to kind of fall. So you want to go about 90%, and then you're just going to work your way back. And then once you get to about 75% of the way through, you can either be brave and go the rest of the way, or you can just simply cut it off. I feel like I'm just going to go the rest of the way and call it a day. Now that we have this, to get the julienne, all you really have to do now is just cut off the back of the onion. Then what we're going to see is the onion's going to fall apart. And then what we have is perfect julienne. And that's all you really need. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to caramelize it. So what that means is you want to put it in a pan with medium to high heat at first. And what it does is it breaks down the onion and makes the sugar and the flavor and the love really come out of the product. And that's what we want to do. So what we're going to do is we'll take it. We're going to put some olive oil in it. If you don't have vegetable oil and all you have is olive oil, you want to make sure it's not extra virgin. The more green the product is, the lower the smoke temperature, which means it's going to give kind of a burnt, awkward taste. It's not going to be good eats at all. So what we're going to do is pop the top, just a little bit in there. We're going to add a little bit of our minced garlic. And a lot of cooking is you listen to it, you kind of, it's visual, it's audio, it's a lot of different techniques. So what you want to do is you want to pull it off the heat once you get it in the pan. If you wait too long, what ends up happening is you start burning the garlic. The garlic's going to start turning really, really brown. It's going to get a really bad flavor in there. It's not going to be good. Now that we have it in there, what we're going to do is we're going to turn the heat off almost all the way. Just really want it to simmer. And you don't want to just put it back on the heat right away, which again, it's just going to continue cooking and cook far too much. So you just kind of want to keep it going in the pan. And then we're listening to it. As the sizzle starts to slow and it gets a little quieter, we can trust that the pan is not too hot and it's not going to burn the product. So we're almost there. We are just about there. To help speed the process up, what we're going to do is just add a little bit of water. What that's going to do is it's going to steam it, cook it through, and help to break down the sugars a little faster. Sometimes we have some restaurants that take 4 hours to caramelize onions. We don't have that time, so we're just going to speed it up a little bit. While that's doing its thing, we'll raise the heat just a little bit. Then what we're going to do is we're going to come back over here and we're going to take our bell pepper and julienne it as well. So when you're cutting a product, you really want to make sure that it's stable. If it's rolling around on the cutting board, you're going to injure yourself, and it's going to be, you know, it's time to go to the hospital instead of time to go to the dinner table. So what you want to do is you want to just slice off the end, just like that. And then it stands. And then what you want to do is you want to figure out where the flat parts are. So you see 1, 2, 3, and it's going to be a little one in the back. So you want to start, slice down, and there we go. And the reason why we wanted to do that is so we can get rid of all of the internals where all the seeds are. All the white part on the inside of the bell pepper is very bitter. Doesn't really taste that great. So we're going to get rid of that. And we are going to julienne this. So put all the products off to the side. We'll start with the first one. So with the knife, you always want to rock it and let the knife do the work. If you are forcing the knife, it's again going to injure yourself, and it's not going to be as good as it could be. So we're just going to slice down the middle. We're going to rotate them, and so you want the rectangle, the long ways to be kind of going like this, and that'll make really nice julienne. And what julienne means, it's just a straight cut. So I'll show you. All right, so that's basically what it is. And you want to make sure that the skin is up. If the skin's down, what ends up happening is it's really hard to cut all the way through the product. And most of the time it wants to bind up. And then so what you have is product like that. So that's not going to work. So cut that off to the side and finish this out. And that's enough for the sandwich. So what we're going to do is make sure that the pan is nice and hot. We want to put a little bit of olive oil in it, or in this case canola. And find my towel. Here we are. You never know how hot the handles are. Spread the oil around in the pan. You want it to kind of dance. When the oil is kind of just really slow in the pan's not hot enough. So you want to make sure that it's kind of runny and rolls around in the pan real nice. And then what we'll do is we'll grab our bell peppers and just add it in there. And again, we're listening for it. Pan's got a decent heat to it. Spread the oil around in the product. And we'll just lay that off to the side. And for the sake of time, we've already caramelized a lot of the onions. So, and as far as the bell peppers, we've done the same. So that is right here. And with that, now we can start on the next stage. All right, what we're going to start on next is going to be our eggplant. So what we're going to do is, again, just want to make it stationary. So we're going to cut off both ends because you don't need both. Just slide that off. And then to make it more, I guess a little easier to work with, I'll slice it in half, put that off to the side. And what we're going to do is skin it. So you want to make sure that the fat side is all the way down, and then the skinny side is facing up. And then what we're going to do is take the right knife, which is our utility chef knife, and we're just going to take the skin off. Place the skin off to the side because we do not need it. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to slice it into rounds. So just about that thick is all you need. Only need about 3 for the sandwich, so that'll get us started. Saute pan is going to be a little small for all 3 at the same time, so what we're going to do is just start out with maybe 1 or 2. So again, we want to make sure that our pan has oil in it. We'll start with that. Off to the side, roll it around. Pan needs a little bit more heat. We're going to take our product and wait for it to get to the right temperature. You don't want to add it in too soon and then it's just not going to cook right. It's not going to be the right flavor, texture, consistency. It's not going to be good. You have our salt and pepper right. And when you put it in the pan, you want to push it away from you. If you drop it down and it comes towards you, you have the risk of like burning yourself with oil. So I want to make sure it's pushed away from you. We're going to take our salt and pepper. Just give it a little bit. The salt helps to do is really just pull out the water from the product, and what you can do with that is then it starts caramelizing, then it starts cooking, and it just helps with the whole process, and it makes the product taste really good. So that's also what we're trying to do. Turn the heat down. We're listening to it. We don't want it to get too hot. It starts getting too hot, then what happens is it starts burning. So you just want to make sure it's like a gentle crackling, not a full-blown hiss. Then you know your pan's way too hot. So what we want to do now is we're going to start on our mushroom. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pop. So I'm just going to take the spoon, just kind of roll it around inside, take all that off. It's kind of filled with dirt and it doesn't really taste that great either. So, and that should be good. What we're going to do is just slice them up. So, right knife would be our chef's knife. With this, we're just gonna do julienne, but again, it'll be a little thicker because we're just gonna do a dice with it. So, just gonna do this. All right, and then to make it more manageable, we'll just cut it into cubes. Only using half the product, not the entire one. So, I'm just gonna roll the knife through it. There we go. We're gonna make sure that this is still going all right. Check the bottoms of it. Looks good. A little pepper on top. A little salt. We'll grab the towel, and we're gonna add just a little bit of oil to our back saute pan. Until the pan's nice and hot. So now we can just go ahead and add our mushrooms right in. There we are. Get them all evenly coated. And that'll work. Continue to let these cook. Then we're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to the mushrooms. Pan looks a little dry, so we're going to add just a little bit more oil. The mushrooms are going to take up quite a bit of oil, so you don't want to kill it because then obviously it's just going to get really oily and it's not going to be good eats. But you want to make sure that it has enough so it can cook the product. So what we do in a restaurant is typically we'll add white wine, but since we're trying to kind of make this healthy and in the right mind, we're just going to add water to this, and that's going to help to soften the product up, cook it thoroughly, almost kind of steam it. So I'm just going to add a little bit to it. And you want to add a little water at a time. If you add a lot, what ends up happening is you end up boiling the product, and you really just want to gently steam it. That's all good. That's going. We're going to add a little bit of garlic to the mushroom. So what you want to do with the garlic is you basically just want to cut it. So what we're going to do is the same type of idea as the onion. You want to go about 90% of the way to the end of the product, but not all the way through. And that'll keep it together when you go to put it into a mince. All right, there we are. Then what we're going to do is just roll the knife through it. Same with the other side. All right, there we are. I'm going to add it to my stash, and then we're going to use this in the saute pan. So just bring it over. Just add a little bit of garlic for move it in the pan. We're going to check our eggplant, see how it's doing. Just want to touch the product. You know, you want to make sure that it's soft, not overly soft, because you don't want it to be mush. And flip it. Looks about done. Put this off to the side, and then we'll just wait for our mushrooms to cook through. What you want to do is you want to make sure that it tastes good too. So when you're cooking, you always want to make sure that there's enough salt or enough pepper, and then kind of adjust accordingly. You want to do it before you add what you think is a final touch. You don't want it to be far too salty or far too peppery. You just want to kind of bring out the flavor, not dominate it. It's awesome. Okay, we are ready to go. So what I'm going to do is put products in a little bowl and just keep it until we're ready for its final use. Heat off. That's good there. All right, now we can start on the spinach, and we're going to saute the spinach just for a little bit, and then we're going to toast the bread. We're just going to put it on the grill, get some nice grillage going with it, and then we'll assemble the sandwich. So we're almost there. All right, we're back. So what we're going to do now is we're going to saute our spinach. So we're going to preheat our pan. So what we're going to do is just come over, add just a touch of our oil, just a little bit. We want to make sure that it's nice and hot. Again, we want to make sure that it's dancing around in there. It's rolling, they call it dancing, rolling, whatever, jiving, whatever you want. You just want to make sure that it's hot. And then I think we are good to go. So we're going to grab our, actually we're going to start with our garlic. Just take a little bit. Give it a little love. And pull it off the heat. Make sure that we don't burn it. We want to add our spinach to it. Just going to hear some crackling because the oil is going to interact with the water inside it and really kind of make it louder than you would think it normally would be. So take this. Pull it off the heat real quick so we can add a little bit of this. A little pepper loving in there. A little bit of some salt. Throw it back on the pan. Spinach cooks really pretty fast, so you don't want to leave it on there too long. This is going to turn into mush. We want to be able to tell that it's still spinach when we put it on the sandwich. So honestly, that's all you really need right there. What we're going to do is just add it into one of our bowls and be ready to go in no time. All right, so now that that's done, put that right over there. We'll start with our next saute. What we're going to do on this one is we're just going to take these sun-dried tomatoes. We're going to add a little bit of sun-dried tomato paste to it. We're going to kind of rehydrate it, make it really kind of pop. It's gonna, in the sandwich right now we have, we kind of have some heavy flavors here, and what we need to do is really cut through with a little bit of acid. The eggplant is kind of a neutral. Instead of using like a meat, the eggplant really kind of gives it some body, something to bite into. So that's what we're using that for, and the mushrooms are basically the same. The caramelized onions really give it some depth, some body, some feel to the sandwich, some real dividing flavor. And the same will go with the caramelized bell peppers. And so what we want to do with this is really make it highlight and give it a little bit of acidity to bring the whole dish together. So what we're going to do is just julienne them. Remember, keep your fingers back. All right. With this, we really don't need to add any oil. We're not caramelizing, we're not really doing anything. We just want to rehydrate them. So we're just going to put them in the pan with just a little bit of water. There we go. Just add them in. Just want to steam them up. Just a little bit at first so you don't boil them. Roll it around. Get some garlic action going on. Keep it moving. Add just a little bit more. And again, with the water, you don't want to cover up the entire bottom of the pan. If you start covering up the bottom of the pan, it'll lower the overall heat inside the pan, and then it'll go from a nice kind of steam to, again, a boil. That's not what we want. All right, we got that. Now we're going to take some extra sun-dried tomato leaven. It's kind of just like a paste. Just add it to it. All right, we'll let that do its thing for just a minute or two. When you use your rubber spatulas, the ones with the red handles are going to be the heat tempered ones. So if you leave this in there for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, it's not going to melt and throw off some awesome chemicals. Be fine. So that's basically all we need with that. So now that is all cooked up, all garlicked and flavored to the maximum. Put that on the back burner. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to skip right to our bread. So what we have here is just a nice rustic bread, and we're just going to cut the ends off because we really don't need them. And for all you end cap lovers, I'm sorry, but we're not using it. Maybe next time. There you go. Right down the middle. All right, there we have that. I have some extra virgin olive oil, salt and pepper, rosemary and thyme, and just kind of put that into a bowl, roll it around, and then just kind of paint it onto the bread. Not too much. You just want, you really kind of want the oil and the aroma to kind of go into the bread. So when we grill it, it has just a little extra leaven in there. Bread's good, but bread with herbs, oof, it's hard to beat. All right, there we go. I'm gonna put this right on the range. Hopefully it doesn't light on fire. There we go. And we're gonna add grillage. Grillage is just a fancy French term for grill marks on the bread. So it's just gonna toast it up. It's gonna add a little bit of flavor, a little bit of leaven. There we go. Just want a nice diamond, so a 45-degree turn is all you really need. And there we go. And so for the bottom of the sandwich, what we're going to do is just going to add our mushrooms or eggplant, whatever you want to put on first. Add a little bit on. I'm just going to use my hands. Easier that way, and they're clean, so no big deal. Interesting thing about this sandwich is I first made it for a guy named Wes Peppers. I met him in my workplace, and it's when I first became a Christian. He said that he knew a couple things about the Bible and he wanted to tell me about it. So he told me that he was a vegetarian and that he wanted to let me know and see if he could answer any of the questions. So what I did is I just made the sandwich for him, and we sat down and really kind of promoted my Christian walk and just made sure that I was reading, and we had Bible studies once or twice a week. It was kind of a change in my life for the better. And it all started with just a little bit of food and a little bit of love on his part. And really that's what cooking is. It's love, you know? You want to nurture something, you want to nurture somebody, your family, yourself, whoever. And so you want to make sure that you put, you know, some time and some effort into it. Really make it something you're proud of, you know, because it's an extension of yourself. You're feeding someone, and that's nourishment. And really that's what the Bible does for us. So, you know, if we can do that for somebody every night, I mean, that's killer. So we're almost done. I'm just going to slice up some tomato, and then we'll be done with it. Utility knife. Nothing special here, just kind of getting a couple slices going here. All right, and there we have it. Pull this off. And that is a sandwich that you can be proud of right there. That has got some definite flavor, some love, everything that you need right there. Hope you enjoy.